Okay, I think we do have quite good questions on the table, and so I would like just to ask our colleagues here to give some opinion. Lorenzo, you would like to start yourself?
I'm Lorenzo Matacena. I'm representing Caronte Touris, which is one of the companies in Italy that are considering implementing LNG on a ship. We do serve in between the Strait of Messina, so we have an advantage since we only run our ships for 3.2 miles. So LNG, it's a solution for us. We do already run on marine diesel. We don't run on IFO, so even the numbers are totally different from the others. To start with, I would say that I fully agree with Mr. Galke. In the future, we will not see one solution, one optimal solution. We will have different solutions depending on markets and depending on locations. For our small market, we have been looking a lot on new technologies, since saving fuel it's not only a matter of costs, but it's even a matter of respecting international rules. And as a 40 years old person who has not yet children, it's even about living a world that can be lived in the next 50 years. So I would, for me, the approach to eco-ships is not, it's not an economical approach. It's a more, I would say, a philosophical or moral approach. I do think that we should change into something that is better. And we have to, and of course we have to look at numbers, because we want our companies not to go bankrupt. We like making money enough to run our companies. Let's put it this way. But I don't think we should focus on economy to choose if to build an eco ship or not. I do strongly believe that LNG is even economically an advantage. I do think nowadays that the European community is focusing on the environment. We have 19 billions to be spent on new technologies from the European community in the next 6 years. And we have another 11 in the next, from year 2020 to 2030. Those money will change drastically the infrastructure into ports. We will have cold ironing, most probably. We will have different fuels available into ports. So I do think that it's not only, as I said, a matter of numbers. It's even a matter of doing the right things. If you look in perspective. Economically, we have run some calculations for our market. I have some numbers that are different than yours. We do operate ferries, and the average age of ferries in Italy is 30 years. So the newest ferry that has been built in Italy with the B class was built in '91, I think. And so in our small market, once again, ferries running on MDO, so not running on IFO, and with such a high average age, I do think that refitting is not economically convenient, while it's very convenient to build new ships. There are a lot of money available, not a lot of money, but there are some money available for new buildings. If you go through the European community, if you go through the European Bank of Investment. I strongly believe that the main problem we are facing nowadays, it's a problem that is related to the legislation. LNG, I'm speaking about LNG and I'm not speaking about scrubbers, just because I have experience on LNG. So I'm not choosing one technology or the other technology. I'm just saying that taking LNG as an example, in Norway they're running, and nowadays I think 30 ferries on LNG. They're all running. They don't have a regulation. They have the same regulations as we do have. But they have gotten some exceptions from their authorities through the years. The European community, IMO, has been studying a new legislation on the use of LNG on board of ships. It's been now 5 years. The European community is doing the same. It's been now 2 years. I strongly fear that it will end the same way as it did end with the water ballast. We are still thinking about implementing a regulation within the European community. United Nations, they have their regulation. Now, I'm not giving any judgment on the quality of their legislation. I'm just saying that if we do develop a different legislation, we will not be able to sell our ships in the United States. Neither the United States will be able to sell their ships here. And as a ship owner, I know that we do make money when we sell ships. Ship owners, they make money mainly when they sell their ships. We don't make money while we are running the ships, but we make the money at the end of it. If you reduce the market, we do almost all the ship owners in Italy, they buy ships from Visentini. Visentini sells ships with the ice class even in Sicily. And this is because once you want to sell your ship, you have to be able to sell your ship in Scandinavia or in Germany or in Malta. If we do develop different regulations, I fear that we will have, that our market will shrink, and the capability of buying and selling used ships in the future will decrease instead of increasing. That's it.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. Very comprehensive and very clear ideas on that. Perhaps I think we have other people here on the panelists. Perhaps Valeria and Andrea may wish to comment on these aspects. Valeria, you want to start yourself?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Honestly, I'm still asking myself which is the real meaning of the term of eco-ship. I'm sorry for this. Is that it means ecological or the meaning is economical? I think I'm worried because I'm afraid that both terms can bring us to the wrong understanding of this new fashionable partner in shipping. I also think that the most appropriate one is ecological, if we take into consideration that we can obtain good results with the new strict rules in terms of emissions by using new proper solutions, such as using LNG, such as using scrubbers on board. But we also know that these new solutions are more expensive than the old solutions, the other solutions. We don't have to forget that building these new sophisticated ships will cost, sophisticated ships with new sophisticated engines able to burn new fuels such as LNG will cost something about 15-20% more than building old style ships, traditional ships. But apart from this, we also know that if we go to look at the consumption, we can spend more in building, but if we look at the consumption, we can obtain good, excellent results in consumption, so in operational cost, in the OPEX. So that we can also consider these ships We can also define them ecological and economical. We can also define them economical, a part of ecological. However, how long will a lower consumption ship will be able to fulfill the commercial needs in a shipping company once a changed market will require new speed, more speeds to carry cargoes around the world? Should the charter sooner or later start to pretending again performance in terms of speed, will be able these sophisticated ships with sophisticated engines to increase their speed with not increasing their consumptions? This is the main question. Will be able to maintain their eco, meaning not increasing the consumption? But of course, I cannot be against something whose name starts with eco, because we perfectly know that we have an excellent improvement in terms of technologies. So we cannot be against of these new eco ships. But my question is rather, do we really need this vessel? Are we sure we need in this moment, in this world, in this market, do we need these vessels? Can the system absorb this market, can absorb such as new tonnage? Are we sure that for each one eco ship delivered by the shipyards, one of traditional, not old, but traditional old system vessel be scrapped? I'm not sure for this. So, in my opinion, also, if we have to believe in these eco ships, I'm not sure that this is the right moment to invest in these vessels. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Please.
Just to not answer Mrs. Novella, but to say something. When I spoke about the legislation, when I said that we need a legislation to be able to implement such technologies, I was even speaking about the legislation on how to scrap our ships, because we did as a company, we did scrap one ship 1 year ago, and we sold it to a company in Turkey. We didn't scrap it. So
I think Valeria has clearly indicated the fact that eco-ship is good, eco-ship is the future, but in this market, perhaps to be a caution ship owner is probably the best solution. I think this is very, perhaps Andrea, you agree on this, or are you?
Okay, just a few words. When Michele a few minutes ago said to me if I wanted to say something about is it the right moment to invest in eco-ships, the first thing that came to my mind was yes. If I get the money, yes. But definitely I'm a ship owner. My family is a ship owning company for generations, and is our life. Probably I would do even if investment is not workable or worthy, because it's our life. Then I say, no, we have to do some sum up of all the things we have said and to make it clear. Probably, there is no competition between an eco-vessel and non-eco-vessel, but not because the eco-vessel is better than non-eco-vessel. It's too obvious, because if someone has to build a vessel now, of course, it would be the eco-vessel. It's like buying a car. You would buy Euro 5. Nobody could buy a new car, which is Euro 3. It's a nonsense to put in competition the two. The one thing that came, soon after to my mind is probably if I have to suggest to someone in investing in eco-ship, someone not belonging to the ship-owning families, I would say no. I mean, it depends, because if you are someone giving money to an investment fund, which is happening very frequently in the world of today, you have to consider something. First of all, the eco-ship is not for free. The price of an eco-ship now is quite high. It's not the price of a second-hand vessel. And then who put the money into an investment funds? And investment funds give to someone gathering the money and making commissions on that. And you have to consider that commissions as well as the return on investment the investors would need. So all the advantage that eco-vessel has in burning less fuel is burned, in the return to investment he has to give to the investors. So it is not automatic that the eco-ships can run for less daily rate, less money than a traditional vessel. Probably I would suggest to somebody investing in an investment fund to buy a second-hand vessel, maybe 10-year-old vessel, 12-years-old vessels. There is a big paradox now in shipping. The traditional ship owners have invested in shipping when the market was booming. Okay, maybe there was some mistakes from someone, but it was also some courageous, investments, and sometimes driven by the passion, and sometimes it's driven by, emotional factor that, it is one of the main features of shipping. Okay, but so the traditional ship owners, they don't have money now to, in some cases, to invest massively in eco-vessels. So if an investment fund is willing to invest in an eco-ship with the purpose of selling the vessel after 5 years, who is going to buy that vessel? I don't know. It's better probably to buy a vessel which is very cheap and, having the return on investment soon. I mean, I really fear that these eco-ships in that particular moment will create a bubble in a few years' time. Because as Valeria was saying, probably there is not the capacity to absorb all these vessels. And also, it's very dangerous to consider a 10-year-old vessel as already, a scrap vessel or a vessel which does not perform anymore. So. One more thing is, obviously it's my opinion. I know that I'm against many of the people now in this moment, but I believe that investing massively in an investment which is on a paper very attractive, the price, okay, are high, but quite reasonable now because of the difficulties of the shipyard, and the vessel, of course, it performs, gives quite a good performance. I believe can have some pro and some cons. Let's see the pro and cons. The pro is, of course, scale economies. I mean, if I buy 10, 12 or 20 vessels, same type, same design, same engines, it's natural that I have scale economies on makers and, then repairs and whatever. But I doubt a lot about fleet growing so fastly in so, small window of time. I mean, people buying, 10, 12, 20, 30, 50 vessels in a few years. How can they manage the vessel properly? How can they give to someone the authority to act, as a representative on a technical side, on a crewing side, on financial side? It's very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. I want to say that, okay, there are companies offering good service, for crewing, for technical management, of course. But I want to just to say a few words about what is and what was the Italian shipowning, industry. It is an industry made up 99.9% of families involved in this business for 4, 5, 6 generations, and managing the vessel, as it were children of a family. I know that this can seem, something too much emotional, but to many of you. But I believe that we also have to consider that even a small company could be managed properly. Yes, investing in an eco-ships is something that we all should think about. There is no reason why we should invest in vessels which are less performing or less eco, let's say, in terms of environmental protection and, in compliance with the law. Only a fool could invest in a vessel now which is not in compliance with the new regulations, coming in force. But as we talk today, for the people who cannot invest in this, there are also other type of investments to be done on the new vessels which are not eco. And I said before, maybe they are not non-eco vessels, but less eco. We can invest also in upgrading the vessel, in refitting the vessels, and in getting our fleet more and more, performing. This is what I think. I know that probably is against many of the current thoughts, but thank you very much.
Very good, Andrea. I think one sentence you said hit me quite a lot. If I could have money, I could invest either in eco ship or refitting, and that's, I think, is a good point. And at this stage, I think Mr. Pribor may say something about the availability of financial resources for shipping.
Thank you. I think it's my role here today to give the American perspective and at least the U.S. capital markets perspective. So I'll do the most American thing, which is to vastly oversimplify the facts. But I'd say for about a year, there was a real discussion in the capital markets, whether it's public or private, eco, non-eco, whether it's ecological or economic, either way, but eco. And people took sides, like a debate about religion or politics. You either were on the side of eco or the side of non-eco, and you felt you had to take a stand and convince investors you should invest in my company, but not that one. And I think that's kind of gone away now. I've been involved in offerings of equity and debt for both companies that are heavily eco-oriented, such as Scorpio, they're a client of ours, and then others who are retrofitting vessels, like Ardmore Tankers and some of the other, and OSG and others. And investors are accepting of both at this point. They just want to know that you have a sensible policy with respect to fuel economy, right? In the early days, if you were non-eco, you didn't talk about retrofitting a ship. Today, if you can spend money at your next dry dock and get a payback in 1 or 2 years, and you don't do it, you're irresponsible from an investor's point of view, not even talking about public policy. Like, of course you should make that kind of CapEx if you could get it. Investing in an eco ship, any ship is an eco ship today. So I would just maybe pull out that old analogy we use in the U.S. a lot about shipping, at least bulk shipping, being like a taxi company, right? So for a while, the story was, if you invest in a taxi company that has 5-year-old taxis, I'm going to have the new eco taxi. You're going to be out of business because there's no price you can make that's going to compete with my price. But I think after the jury is still, the investment jury is still out, but while we're waiting to see the evidence over time of how much savings there really is, it's becoming more apparent that the valuation of a non-eco or older ship will just be adjusted to reflect the fact that it's a little bit more expensive. And it is possible that you can have a good investment in a brand new taxi company that's eco, or a shipping company that's eco, or you can invest in a company that has 5 to 10-year-old automobiles or shipping ships that are quote-unquote non-eco, but is reflected in the price of the asset. And I think we're still in a process of finding out the appropriate differences, because you see a lot of numbers on it all afternoon, but I don't think we're quite have enough experience yet to know exactly over the life and with what bunker price is the appropriate adjustment. But the market will eventually make it so you can be good economically, at least, to buy a new vessel, and equally good to buy a second-hand vessel as long as you make the right price.
But do you think this balance between eco and non-eco refit or fitted will last for the future, or you think this is a balance of the moment, if you may say something about it? Because we have everybody in the market may have the doubt that one day one of the two will be much stronger than the other. The new eco will sort of kill the non-eco type ship in the future. Is this something that was discussed many times in the market? What do you think about this?
Well, I guess my opinion is that that was the fear that for a while that only vessels that are super eco or fuel efficient can survive, and anything else will be obsolete. But the current thinking of at least the investors in the capital markets is they're willing to believe that for the right price, an older retrofitted vessel can be viable in the marketplace.
Alberto, you want to comment on this?
I just want to... Yes,
Please.
please. How about we hear? I don't know if all the people in the room, yes.
Well, do you think, and obviously this is also for you, that there is a chance or do you think there is a chance that, because we had this story of the eco vessels when we had the crisis in the freight market and excess of production of, let's say, less eco or old-fashioned vessel. So the shipyards came to us, and we have also some very first-class makers. Said, okay, now we can save a lot of money. The cost of bunker is declining, but it's still very high. So technically, we cannot have a new narrative like this, let's say in 5-year times, and something dramatically could be found in the design, perhaps not retrofit, something with the full conception of the vessel. And so this high-intensive investment vessel will become obsolete. And perhaps last year we had Mats Berglund. He has 200 handy and handy-max vessels that are mainly non-eco, and it's about do the low steaming, that the best way of saving money. So Mats, in 3 or 5 years we could have better off Mats and Pacific Basin than perhaps Emmanuel, who invested, his investors, who invested massively in nowadays best technology vessel, but they will be obsolete because there will come a new generation. Is this technically visible? Can we envisage something like this?
Well, thanks for your question, Francesco. Your question makes me think to what happened some years ago with the Ro-Ro ferries when came into force the Stockholm Agreement in some parts of the world. What happens that if those ferries would have not complied to Stockholm Agreement, they were out of the market, absolutely. So designers, industries, and so came out with many solutions in order to keep those vessels in the market. Now, for sure, what I can say is that when there is a problem, we will try to find a solution. I don't know if that will be the optimal solution for that problem, and I don't know if the solution we will find will keep your vessel still in competition with the new ones. But from the technical point of view, I don't think there are problems that cannot be solved. It's a matter of money. It's a matter of time. But somehow your investment, I think, will be preserved. Also, probably will not go in the same way you thought at the beginning, but somehow you will survive on that. There is another point I wanted to add before your questions, and it's mainly it's a warning in my opinion. It's something which is also related to what Umberto showed us in his speech. An eco-vessel is not by itself a guarantee to less consumption or to a better performance. An eco-vessel, since it is, let's say, a more complicated vessel, it's an all-day vessel, needs to have also the crew, which is absolutely prepared and prepared to run that vessel. Now, you spend a lot of money for the engine, for a good propeller and everything. If you sail with the wrong trim, let's say an example, you lose all the advantages of the vessel, and you will go on the same consumption as before. So it is important that another variable, I like variables, there is a human variable in eco-vessels which is really, really important. And that's it.
Good. Perhaps I may try to see this issue from a different point of view. I do believe that if the pressure of the market will insist on eco, put it that way, the technology will develop in a dramatic way. Do you think that 10 years ago, shipbuilders were not able to build an eco vessel? Absolutely they were able, believe me. But simply, nobody asked them to build a real eco-ship vessel, with a vessel with a very low consumption, simply because the fuel cost was much less than today, and also because the charter rates were higher, because the owner were always asking maximizing the cargo capacity, rather than consuming less fuel. So the yard, what they did, maximize the production, built easy hull-shaped vessels, because if they build a vessel with a longer cylindrical body, it's easier for them, costs less money, so they maximize their production, rather than trying to put the accent on fuel saving and stuff like that. And it's a normal market, I think, it's a normal market situation. Today, the focus has changed dramatically in the last 2 or 3 years, and if this focus goes on, I do believe the technology will be much better in the future. We will have much new technologies. The efficiency will continue growing. That's my opinion on that.
Yes, but
Valeria, let's have you again.
sorry, I totally agree with you and with your presentation. But the question, apart from the initial cost, which is higher than the traditional ship, okay, we know. But we can choose to go in this way because the eco ships is economical and is ecological and blah blah blah. We already know this. But what about the charters? What about the rates of the charter? I'm involved in the tank and chemical sector, not in the ro-ro packs. So I'm speaking about this sector. If I go to my charters, say, okay, we have decided to invest in eco ships. We are going to build eco ships. We are able to save 20%, finger crossed, of consumptions. Do you recognize this better consumption in my rate, in my charter rate, or not? They answer not. It's good if you go to invest in these eco ships, but we will see. I am not giving you an higher time charter rate. I'm quite sure about this. So why ship owners nowadays, with this system, with this market, should be considered to invest in eco ship when we have too many ships in the market, in the seas now? And when the charters do not recognize you a better rate in the charter rate?
Yes, makes no sense. Yes, absolutely. Please, Lorenzo.
No, once again, I would like to stress the point Mr. Galke has underlined at the beginning of the conference. I think that the main point that we achieved today, or the main point that we made clear today, is that shipping is not one business, but shipping has different kinds of businesses inside, and those kind of ships are already convenient for some kind of companies. They're not yet convenient for some other companies, and most probably they will be never convenient for some other companies. So and I do want to add something. We have 19 billions available in Europe to build infrastructures, we are obliged, and we have we cannot skip this opportunity. There is a lot of money available in Europe to build infrastructure in our ports. We always complain about the condition of our ports. Eco or non-eco, we should use the money to make the possibility available in our ports, and then every ship owner will decide if it's convenient, if it's not convenient, depending on the business he is into. Or I'm sure that it's not convenient to have an eco ship. Is not convenient for a person that is on the market. I'm speaking about people that are renting their ships out. But for example, I'm sure that it's convenient for a company that has a line between two fixed points. So that's it. I just wanted to add this because I do agree, and I fully agree with Mrs. Novella. And if I was in her position, I would say the same things. But it's just that it's not the same thing. It's not the same market. It's shipping, but it's there is a lot of things into shipping.
Yes. There is any comment from the floor? Because I saw someone who wanted to make a comment. Please. Please. Then we need to, I think we need to close soon.
I can speak loud.
Do we need to close soon?
Right. It's more of an observation. We're talking about ecological and economic vessels, how they can operate. 40, 50 years ago, the car industry in the United States produced large vehicles with gas-guzzling vehicles. Society pushed them to change the vehicle designs and more efficient cars. Now with the aviation industry, we have them changing the aircraft engines as well. What I see here is that because the people in general, the world, don't see that, it's not, is it working? Okay. It's not being affected by you. People react to visuals. The shipping industry, the general population of the world does not interface with. So they don't see it as a social climate issue as they see with cars, factories, and various other things. Because you go to the Olympic Games in Beijing, they were concerned, could they perform the Olympics there? So they shut down the city for almost a month prior to the Games. Then 2 weeks after the Games, you couldn't see Olympic Stadium because of the pollution. I understand where everyone's coming from. Is the timing perfect now or later? What I'm trying to close here is that economically, it's not feasible for you to do it now. Ecologically, yes. But when will that time be? I don't know. But the fact is that there's other social concerns facing the world that the shipping industry, to use a naval terminology, is not on the radar scope. It's on your radar scope. And that's where you guys have to determine if we can do this or if we cannot do it and where timing is. That's the only comment. I agree with everyone saying it's just optimum time. And I don't know when, if we'll ever get there. Thank you.
Yes, well, thanks for the comment. First of all, I have to say that I don't completely agree with your opinion that the social perspective is not touching the fact that shipping is under the scrutiny of the society. We do have a regulation, a list of regulations which are entering into force from basically, already some of them are already into force, which are extremely stringent, which will be applicable to new ships, of course, at a more extended, at a bigger extent, but also to existing ships. So in any case, even existing ships are to comply with this regulation through, I have to say, from some owners, very expensive and very, very heavy refitting or change. Think about, for example, the Water Ballast Convention, which is it's a different way of seeing the protection of the environment, not in terms of emission, but in terms of pollution. This is going to cost millions of euros for ship owners to retrofit their vessels as soon as the convention is in force. So I think there is an agenda which is very strong from basically all the institutions, IMO, but European Community, US Coast Guard, which actually are pushing shipping very much on, let's say, on the green track, put it that way. I mean, now I don't know. Could be more green or less green, is not me to say, of course, but I think the perspective of the regulator are pushing shipping through a new era, irrespective by the fact that we are now deciding to build or not to build.
Forced to do it right or wrong. But you found
Yeah.
legislation is going to ram it down your throat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to invest or not invest is a different issue, but in any case, you need to comply with this new regulation, even for existing ships. So I think there is a sense of say, respect for the society, even in shipping, very strong. I don't know whether anybody of you wants to add something about this.
There is certainly.
Yeah, another comment, please.
Hello.
Please speak in the microphone because everything is videotaped, and otherwise there will be a loophole then in the video. And I think we have to close in 5 minutes.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know if I don't see Fulford Smythe around now, but he would be a bit of help to this discussion, which is going a bit circular. Really, when you decide to invest or not to invest in something, it becomes a point of how much you're putting in and how much you are getting out. Then after you decide whether to invest, let's say in shipping or dry, then you'll think whether it's a new build or a second hand, and you would do this on the arbitrage between the price of these two, you know, the new building and when it would deliver, whether it's a high market or low, and then the second hand prompt, how much it costs. These are the metrics you'd look at. And the problem right now is there isn't really a price for a second-hand eco-type. We're only comparing, you know, a new building with a second-hand of a different variety. If there were some estimation for, you know, a 1-year eco-type, or even for, you know, a clear price on the yards, then it would be easier to settle the debate what can be more profitable going forward. As far as the technical aspect of whether we might be looking at a second big elevation in technology, of course everything is possible, but if you look backwards, you will see that ship designs change and then remains the same for quite in a meaningful manner. And we see the forces that are forcing it to reverse persisting. And we see this coupled with a slight lack of growth globally, which is also negative for the oil price. So, you know, maybe a drop in the oil price will also be very important in getting this debate going. But for me, until I see a price for a 1-year-old or a brand new eco, it's very difficult to answer this question, which, by the way, I think has been answered by the world, and eco is the new normal. I don't think this is any more discussed. Thank you.
Say something, Dai, come on.
We should stop it.
It's the last one.
I promise it's the last time I intervene. First of all, on the small market of LNG, you already have used the ships available on the market, and unfortunately the price between second-hand and first-hand is very little. Norwegians, they're coming out with in Norway, LNG is implemented, it's been now 15 years. So they're now selling on the market the first LNG ships, which are not very efficient, by the way. So there is something there, and unfortunately prices are not very different. You say that the naval research, that ships are more or less designed in the same way for a long period, and that's due to research problems. This is due to the fact that ships are very expensive. So unfortunately, our business, it's a high intense capital. Sorry, it's a high capital. Whatever, you know what I mean. So this is why it's very slow. Because if you buy a ship now, you need 20 years at least to make it profitable, if not more, depending on the market. And this is why it's very slow. But I think now it's an advantage. Because the difference between old ships and new ships is enormous. We're speaking about 25–30% of difference. So,
Umberto, I think you want to
just to add a few words from the ecological point of view. It has been said, but I've been various meetings in which it has been repeatedly pointed out that the total contribution of ships to the emission of exhaust gas is only 4%. The remaining 96% belongs to the industries, cars, and so on. That 4%, again, is such a small quantity of gas going into the atmosphere, which has been already so well regulated in terms of SOx, NOx, particulate, and so on. And then now, in that 4%, I was also talking to Lorenzo during the coffee break. If we could consider also the number of lorries, the number of trucks, which are taken out from the roads, placed on a ship, transported from north to south, or containers that instead of going through the sea, they should go anywhere in the world but through trucks, then the contribution of those... Just to add a few words from the ecological point of view, it has been said, but I've been various meetings in which it has been repeatedly pointed out that the total contribution of ships to the emission of exhaust gas is only 4%. The remaining 96% belongs to the industries, cars, and so on. That 4%, again, is such a small quantity of gas going into the atmosphere, which has been already so well regulated in terms of SOx, NOx, particulate, and so on. And then now, in that 4%, I was also talking to Lorenzo during the coffee break. If we could consider also the number of lorries, the number of trucks, which are taken out from the roads, placed on a ship, transported from north to south, or containers that instead of going through the sea, they should go anywhere in the world but through trucks, then the contribution of those trucks to the pollution will be much, much higher.
There is another point I would like to add. My opinion, I am a ship designer mainly. It's not true that the ships are mostly the same in the latest 20 years, 30 years. So we have seen a huge change in regulations since the year 2000, in which the structural regulation have changed and has completely changed the structural point of view. The life of the ship has changed, the calculation method has changed, and also are changing a lot. Also those devices like propellers, rudders we have seen today with the INSEAD presentation, which are not evident. They are small things. The thing is that it's very easy to improve at the beginning. So you gain a lot with small efforts. When you go further and further, it's very difficult to improve 1%, and there is a huge effort behind that 1%. And that's where we're going to now.
I think it's a very interesting discussion, but the bus, I think, is already leaving. Is it correct, Francesco?
No, not yet, at 8:15.
All right, so we can...
Yeah. So it's just down via Partenope,
right,
in front of Hotel Excelsior. And everyone, of course, is invited, and it's going to be very nice in via Doria de Angri. So if during the conference you have found yourself staring out into the Bay of Naples, you'll find that the villa itself is actually across the bay. So it's going to be very nice. So I hope all of you will be able to make it.